Hello everybody and welcome to a very special edition of the Save Slot 3 Gamescast. I am your host, Uwe Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Das
Hello, everyone.
and Mr. Nintendo. It's Craig. Has Craig forgotten to do his intro, Pengi?
I can't remember what Dave's Craig intro actually is.
Just say hello. I'm here. Are you there, Craig?
Did I not come through?
It didn't. It just sounded like an awkward silence that now everyone... I'm keeping this in, so...
Oh, sorry. I did say hello on my end.
He was throating his mic and he just didn't want to let us all know.
No.
Okay then. So, boys and girls, we're here talking about the Switch 2 Direct, which happened today at 2 p.m. British Standard Time. And there's a lot to talk about, and obviously Pengi's going to react live in his own way. So we're going to go for it. So unusually, I'm going to go for it, not Craigo, because that's just going to work for trying to make this work. But I want everyone to obviously.
Yeah. Plus, you're the Nintendo guy here.
I am the
Probably
Nintendo guy.
Like the releases and stuff as well.
Yeah, and to be honest with
fresh
you,
stuff every month.
it's a really bad show in that a lot of the really pertinent information is after the show. Like there's a Nintendo,
Right.
there's like a Nintendo, there's a Nintendo Direct. No, there's a Nintendo Switch 2 website. So I will get that up and I will go through this. There's honestly, there's so much stuff that they didn't say in this that is
Right.
really important. So I will do my absolute best to help you all out using words and English. So, Pengles, it started off, obviously, if you hit play, are you watching now?
Yeah. So I'm currently watching Mario Kart.
So it started off with Mario Kart World, which is...
I told you it wasn't going to be 9.
It wasn't going to be...
No one wanted to believe me,
No.
but I was right.
Pengles was right as he's chomping down on that mango. So Mario Kart 9, it's real, it's a thing. Obviously, we saw that when they showed the initial image for the Switch, the initial trailer, and it is a quite vastly different game, Craig, to be honest with you. So it's got its traditional mode, but it's kind of got the almost SSX-like, it's all linked together in one big world, and you drive between the tracks.
No, Link's in Zelda, mate.
Okay, it's going to be a very long podcast. Pengi's puns. But yeah, so like the tracks are linked and there's different parts of the world and you drive through them. All new carts, didn't see any returning carts. Lots of characters, including stuff like the cow, for some reason from Movie
Yeah, I was going to
Meadows.
say that the cow was just on the screen. Like, why have you got the cow from... Like, why not just have more Nintendo characters? Why not have Kirby and stuff? No, we'll have
Well,
the cow.
there's actually a reason there's no Kirby, Pengi, but we'll get to that later in the show. But there's new costumes. There is, I think you can play as a
Oh, yeah,
dolphin.
Peach is in loads of different ones.
There we go. So, and there's all that happening as Pengles is watching it. So yeah, there's all new tracks. I don't think I saw any returning tracks, which makes sense.
Well,
because
if they're
it's a
all
world.
connected, I guess it does make some sense.
Yes, exactly. And obviously it's a big world. There's new modes. There's a knockout mode, which is kind of like exactly like an elimination mode. Like when you don't hit a checkpoint in a big open world bit, you lose. As well as the traditional stuff. And yeah, it's a launch title, Craigo. So what did you think of the trailer you saw?
I did like that they hadn't announced the date yet, so they had to awkwardly be like, "This launches when the Nintendo Switch 2 launches." You're like, "Should we just started with the launch date, guys? Then we wouldn't have done all this silly skirting around, would we?"
Yeah, I feel like they did that with the Switch 1. I feel like the Switch 1, the first thing they did is like, it's coming out on this day and it was this price. And then they were like, right, now let's show you Zelda.
Yeah, there's like a really awkward bit like first part of the show where they've like skirting around this. It's just like just say it. Like, this is the reason the show's here for. Just say the date. For God's sake.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought the trailer looked really good. Yeah, there was some grinding as well, some wall riding, I think.
Yeah, there was some literal grinding. Yeah.
They talked about the open world, and you can just drive around the open world. So you'd like to think there's going to be like stuff to do, like stuff to find, stuff to collect, like Forza Horizon-esque, right? In that open world, the racing itself looked really good. The different like carts changing on different terrain looked really cool. I thought. I think there's one point where Peach or You know, one of the Nintendo princesses was on a motorbike, and then she went off-roading, and suddenly, like, you could see it went to like a motocross bike or something. You know, like
Yeah.
big fat tires. That was
Mhm.
pretty cool. Yeah, no, I thought that they'll get very cool. I do get the Penguins thing, like. Like, you know, you got 24 characters. It's going to be a really good time to, you know, 'cause I remember when we were talking about what we would want from our next Mario Kart game ages ago, and it being a bit more like Smash, where it's like just Nintendo characters. I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity here because they could have done, you know, 24
Mm.
characters a race. You know, you could have had Link in there. Well, I think they have had Link in there, but you know, you could have had all sorts in there, couldn't you? Right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild that
Yeah.
you've got stuff like the dolphin enemy and the bonefish enemy, and I'm guessing at some point a Goomba. Um,
Mm.
it's a very strange decision, but I guess they've just doubled down on it being Mario and having all the different costumes and vehicles and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Like, say, like
yeah.
there's so much cool stuff they could have done, like Smash Bros. Does, right? So
Yeah, like I
that's
just seen the
probably only-
penguin a second ago.
Yeah, it's if you can think about the character in the game, it's in here, for sure.
Mm.
Open world, how do we think? I think personally it looks different, which is something I think you need to do with Mario Kart because it's been the same game for a long time. How about you guys?
Mm.
Yeah, I guess it depends
Yeah.
how they feel that open world. Like there needs to be stuff to do in that world, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the big thing. If they do that, then yeah, it should be really cool. They say like you're driving to and from the actual races as well.
Mhm.
I wonder if um the courses will be built into the world, or if you go somewhere then you teleport to the courses. That'd be
It looks
interesting
like
to
it's
see.
built into the world from what they were showing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that's
showing
what
like
you'd
you can
imagine.
drive to one like end of the world to the other by doing all the different like courses and that. And I think watching it now, just got to the end of the Mario Kart bit. I think some of them are the same track like Princess Castle, but they've obviously just updated it so it fits the double dash.
yeah.
I think they've just like modernized them to fit the world, like especially seeing like Mario Kart 8 had the upside down tracks, and obviously that doesn't make sense in Mushroom Kingdom to have an upside down track. And there's a farm one as well, which I guess is Moo Moo Meadows,
Yeah.
built into the world.
Yeah, definitely. And so to cut the Mario Kart stuff short, there is a Mario Kart World Direct happening on the 17th of April at 2 p.m. UK time, so we will talk more about Mario Kart then. They do this all the time.
And there is two tree houses tomorrow and Friday at 3 p.m. I don't know what they're showing. I guess they'll show Mario Kart, but maybe not.
I think
if they have
yeah, I think they'll show some more Mario Kart. I think they'll show the other games that have been announced. I think that we've watched Tree Houses Pengi enough times. We know they'll show everything they've shown a little bit. You'll probably see your I don't want to spoil it for later on, but the games you want to see later on. So we'll move on to the next thing. So I believe, Craig, the next thing is the first fall asleep section. So I'm going to summarise the next 7 minutes for you, Pengi, okay?
It's called Game Chat on the thing.
Are you ready for me to summarise the next 7 minutes?
Yep.
Nintendo is putting Discord/Xbox Live Chat into their systems. You can
showing the C button now.
Yeah, and that's a chat button basically. So you can use that to chat to people. You can video call them. You can show their game screens on your screens. They're also charging £50 for a USB-C webcam that you can put your own face in, and that will be used for games later on, Pengi. There's some iToy like stuff coming later on. And you can use, it says on the website, you can use compatible USB ones. Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
So what they've done is, it does look a bit like Discord with the icons and stuff, how she's talking about any headset and stuff here. Yeah. But what they've done is just copied PlayStation with the camera, the chat, Discord, and you can stream thing. Because that's how the only way you can play WWE 2K's GM mode on multiplayer is to share screen thing on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's
but I was sort of right, because didn't I say this was going to be a community button?
Sort of. I know you're trying to get points, but it's definitely a chat. It's a chat button, but you whatever, and it's communities chat. But as you can see later on, they showed the first showing of Super Mario Party Jamboree, using it for some mini games online as well, and so they've got a
I can see the guy has got a white and black Pro Controller, it looks like.
Yeah, we will get to that later on, Pengi. We will get to that later on. But yes, they have got a webcam and it looks hilarious, Craigo. What was your thoughts on game chat?
I mean, it's funny, like without trying to sound like a bellend, it is funny that like this is a big part of a announcement, because this feels like something that should have been 15 years ago. I did like the ease of like the sharing the screen. That looked pretty cool. You're just hanging out, you want to watch, but I don't know if it was just me, but the
I've
quality.
Seen that. I've seen that. Do you know where I've had that, Craig?
What?
Stadia. Stadia did that. That was one of Stadia's big gimmicks. Was this screen thing? Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I played that. There might even be a video on my channel. 4-player, and you got the three other players on the screen, so you can see what they're doing and stuff like that. That's literally what Stadia did. That was like a whole selling point of like games on Stadia would have its own separate screen thing.
We did love the Stadia on this podcast, but I don't know if you noticed this, Dave, but the quality when they were watching it seemed like weirdly
terrible,
bad.
It? Yeah, really bad.
I was almost like, why have they shown that? That looks like it still needs some like love before they're showing that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean it's good to know that Nintendo now has this, because it would have been almost silly if it didn't, right?
Yeah, and obviously so I've got small details. It's up to 12 players. Game chat. You can just do audio. You can have everything else as well. And it is also cross game. So like the Xbox 360 was in 2005. But you can.
Yes, because they didn't announce that at first, and I was like, wait, is this just like not even party chat? Is this game chat? And then like they just kind of slipped that in like partway through. I was like, oh thank God, at least it's party chat.
So like the C button, the way to look at it is like it's the Xbox quick dashboard, but just for chat features. It brings up a bar at the bottom, and you have all like the chat features. This is what the website has.
I've got the camera. Now.
It's a terrible looking camera, isn't it? But that's a £50 camera. It does say USB-C compatible cameras, so I think that your Logitech's whatever will probably work.
Right.
And that was that. Then they talked about Game Share, which was literally the thing we talked about. It's a mixture of DS Download Play and the PlayStation chat. Pengi, the PlayStation.
Right.
Right? Okay. So and there's only select games you can do it on. There's 5 Switch games. No one will use that feature. Do you have any more questions about Game Chat before we move on to the next bit, which is the tech spec stuff?
No. The Jamboree's interesting. They've got their actual faces next to their character.
They do call back to it later, Pengi. So we will talk about it more in a minute. It is they've done this in such a confusing way. Like this whole presentation, we'll talk about it later, but like Craig agrees with me because I know that he knows what's coming up in a bit, but like why they've shown that with no context and now you're going to have to wait till later on. But I thought it was a new Mario Party. It's not. It is part of the game.
And it's also weird showing like Switch 1. I guess they've only showed Mario Kart, but showing all these Switch 1 games on it.
And let Dave go. He'll get to that.
So, tech specs, Pengi. Your favourite thing about the Switch?
So what's Game Share? I'll get that next.
So Game Share is exactly what we were just talking about. It's a mixture of DS Download Play.
Yeah.
And it is the PlayStation Share.
Okay.
So like it's literally a mix. Again, it's about a minute in worth.
Okay, but can I like share the whole of Super Mario 3D World with like you two? Or can you only share like a level or something?
I think it's kind of like anything that's like multiplayer or like, I don't. Again, it's maybe a 30-second.
Yeah, and it's only select games as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's one of those where unfortunately, there isn't a lot. So let me just get the text.
And now I think I'm on hardware. I've got the guy in the orange, the one with a blue shirt, and the glasses in the middle. Now holding a Switch.
Yeah. So if you just let me get to it, Pengi. So first of all, it is a 1080p screen that can go up to 120 FPS.
Okay.
It does output into the dock for 4K HDR on supported games. The frame rate is a maximum of 60 frames for 4K.
Okay. See, that seems weird to have the 120 frames on the actual portable system.
So I think
like, we've played.
Yeah.
Because like we've played Steam Decks and ROG Allies, and it's like we're playing at 40, so we can get like the game to look good, and 40's fine because the screen's pretty small. So don't. So
Yeah, and obviously it's as I said, it's 60 for 4K. So I'd imagine that 1080p they can go up to 120, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. On the telly, that would kind of make sense. Yeah.
So again, to copy PS5, it has 3D spatial audio. Has a quicker internal memory. It is now 256 gigabytes as standard, which is 8 times the capacity of the Switch. But it will only use microSD Express cards, which I know has been leaked previously. But it's not any microSD card. It is the specifically Express cards. So they will now be hella expensive.
So they like the SSDs of SD cards. I
Yeah,
guess.
they've got a quicker like refresh rate and upload speed and stuff. And I think that again that they do talk about the dock a little bit.
Oh, mouse.
Yep. So you can do the mouse, and both can do them. Both controllers do it, and they do show games that use both later on. I think the dock.
I think that's gonna be weird. Like me being left-handed, I guess Craig being left-handed, his right hand's gonna be weird trying to do that.
Yeah, you might be able to flip it, right? Because they're usually pretty good with like doing their stuff. And then they go into Welcome Tour, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So Craigo, initially on tech, what do you think?
I mean, the one thing that stood out to me is, and I'm sure, I believe I've got this right, is it does have HDR in the handheld on the screen.
Yeah,
it does.
Which is one thing which I think when we brought up, I was a little bit disappointed when you guys were like, "Nah, I definitely won't have that." And I was like, "Oh, that's shit."
I don't think it does.
Really...
Yeah, it did. It showed Mario Kart.
Yeah, but I don't think that was. I think it was on supported. Let me have a look. I've got everything in front of me, so it should be.
Yeah, I'm sure it was HDR docked and portable mode.
Video.
That's like.
Yeah, it's just showing Mario Kart in HDR, and it's got Mario. But is that on the telly showing the two Marios?
The screen does have HDR10 support, and it has VRR up to 120%.
Okay. Yes, it's HDR portable. Yeah. So I think that's from a tech point of view, that's pretty cool. I think.
It's just incredibly confusing because of the way they've released this information. Honestly. So what else do you got? So you can choose 1440p, you can choose 1080p. It does support. It's an NVIDIA chip, which is interesting. And what else have we got on this? Wi-Fi 6, and it's possible to do LAN because it has got an Ethernet port. I think that is the only useful info. It's got so much information on this page, Craig. It tells you like the average temperature and humidity and stuff, and battery life. They reckon
we don't care about that, do we?
Right, 2 to 6 hours. Is what they reckon, which is quite a range, to be honest with you. But
2 doesn't sound good. 2 sounds pretty terrible. Take 6 definitely. That sounds good. But yeah, for what they showed on the screen in particular, I thought it sounded pretty cool. Obviously, it's bigger screen. The fact that like 60 frames, even 120 frames handheld's pretty cool, right? Because let's be honest, most of our TVs, most people, especially even listening to this, won't have 120 hertz TVs, right? Unless you're spending big money. So you can at least try Metroid at 120 frames, even if you don't really feel like you get the benefit of it because you're playing on a 8-inch screen or whatever it is. But yeah, I thought tech-wise, the whole thing looked pretty cool in all honesty.
What about
hopefully the Joy-Cons and that? Did they mention the Joy-Cons in this bit? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah,
so hope the Joy-Cons feel a bit nicer, a bit bigger.
Yeah, so they are bigger.
They were quite small
they did
mention, aren't they, in the last one?
Yeah, they mentioned that the sticks are bigger, the buttons on the side are bigger, and the overall thing is bigger. It also says here it's got HD Rumble 2, which is obviously an improvement on HD Rumble. They didn't do an ice demonstration this time, Pengi. And they reckon 20 hours battery life each. For those. And that's just
I will never use the Joy-Cons unless I have to use it as a mouse for a game.
It is funny because obviously, like Craig said, if they're bigger and more comfortable, I'm not opposed to using them because obviously, as we will get to later, accessories are incredibly expensive. But yes,
Even
Pengi.
using them handheld, right? They were
Yeah,
they weren't the most
yeah.
comfortable.
Handheld.
Just on the Switch Pro, we had the knockoff ones that turn it into a controller, right? So
Yeah,
hopefully these ones
absolutely.
are better, so you don't have to then go out and buy something else to,
Mm.
use it handheld.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And obviously, like anything that all those companies are going to have to make new ones now because it's a different like setup, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pengi, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of actually pretty impressed with the hardware. Like 250 gig, 6 gig storage space is really good because it's like 32 in the standard, and like the screen is good. Isn't OLED, which is a little bit disappointing, but I guess with the HDR, if it's a really good LCD thing, having 128 frames on the handheld, I think it's like good, but don't know if you actually really need that because like the size of it. And there's been talk about like the PlayStation 5 Pro at the moment and how it's got the stutter issue. And it's like you can only really notice it if you've got like a 65-inch telly. So, that sort of thing. Yeah, but the hardware actually quite impressive from what I've seen.
Nice.
Really nice to see when they were showing games for this that like third party games, like big third party games. Whenever we've seen them on the Switch, let's be honest, we've all kind of been like, "Oh my god, that looks horrific."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really nice to see games running on the Switch too, and being like, "Oh, that looks really good." Like, particularly showed the Tony Hawk's 3+4.
Yeah.
And they were showing that, and I was like, "God, that looks fantastic." In fairness, it looks brilliant. Even they were showing like the reflections in puddles and stuff like that. I was like, God, like
Yeah.
the Switch One would have exploded trying to do something like that. So
Well,
yeah,
that's coming to Switch One, isn't it? So it'll be interesting about
That will
how
be
they compare
interesting.
when Digital Foundry ever do their video. Like, here's the Switch One version, here's the Switch Two version.
Yeah, and I will.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on, Pengi.
and weirdly, like I'm just going to the next things, welcome tour, whatever that is. It seems from the trailer, it seems more premium. Stuff like everyone joked like the Wii U gamepad was like Fisher Price and stuff like that, and the game like the normal Switch, I guess, is more childish, family friendly, and this bit looks like more premium and more adult. I don't know if it's the whole thinking is like, well, the Switch has been 8 years. Little Timmy got his Switch when he was 10. He's now 18. Let's make it like a premium.
There's a new little Timmy at this point, isn't there? There's little Jimmy
But
now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Should they have made something like more family friendly for little Jimmy? That's 10 or something.
I think it's
know.
still pretty family friendly. To be honest, I don't think it's.
Mhm.
I don't think to use it's going to be that different to the Switch, and it's
No,
still
it just
not like
looks
a
more
Steam
like
Deck or whatever.
Apple-y, like more
Yeah.
premium and stuff like that than compared to
I also think that little Jimmys nowadays know exactly what an iPhone is at 4 years old.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
So,
it's
yeah.
not our little Jimmys.
Yeah.
But to move on to what Pengles is watching right now is a
I'm
is
watching. Yeah, I just got a guy. But I'm watching it now.
is a game called Welcome Tour, which is kind of similar to Welcome Park on the Vita, and Astro's Playroom was the joke we were making in the Discord. It's basically like a.
Oh, I got so excited when they showed it. I was like, "They're doing Astro's Playroom," and then they showed it, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's basically an introduction to the Switch 2, but to save
you're paying for it."
to save everyone some time, it's a paid digital download. It's not packed in. Why it's not
What
packed
the
in?
fuck?
Why it's not packed in? I don't know. I don't know.
Like so this is the game that shows me about my Switch isn't
Nope,
free.
you have to pay for
And
it.
it doesn't even look like a game. It looks like you're just walking up to
It's a
things and,
tutorial.
like,
It's
clicking
literally a
button on
tutorial
them.
for how to use the
And then a
console.
thing's coming up, and just a text box is coming up and explaining what it is. You're paying for it.
What is it, like a fiver or something? About
That
have
is-
they told you how
It's
much
not
it
that
is?
much.
I mean,
Christ, I
I
hope
will
it's like
look, but it's
50p.
so far. Let me have a look at the Switch 2 games because it's a very confusing website. It just has the release date. It's coming out on the day, and there is no price currently.
Okay, so using they're using a mouse to play.
Play golf and
yeah.
like yeah, but it's not.
That's some
currently
like
for sale.
tech demo, like mini gamey bits.
Yeah,
right?
it's like it's like
Yeah.
it's like Welcome Park Pengi on the Vita.
But
That's
that was free.
it was
free installed.
It was free. So I think what do they do next, Craigo? They talk. So there's some more info about the Switch.
This looks terrible.
Yeah, again, if it was packed in. So they told you about
Like, 1-2-Switch was like 35 quid though, wasn't it, when that launched?
Yeah, so it was a launch title.
Available digitally, so check it out if you're interested. And this is a free down.
It's not free. It's
Maybe
paid.
it's
It literally says paid at the
Oh,
thing.
they say it's paid.
Yeah.
That's the bit that blew me away at the end.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's paid. So Pengles, more information.
I got. Okay, the cart's red. Okay.
Oh, Pengi, you're killing me here. Please let me just talk. You're killing me. Oh. Or you need to live stream it and we'll just watch along with you.
Right. Okay.
So, red cartridge, to differentiate it, is a quicker cartridge, Pengi. So it's not just red. It's red and quicker. I don't know if they tell you that in the actual presentation because mine's now frozen.
I think they did.
Oh, I've just got a little Japanese man. So yeah, so it's got the red card. It's a little bit quicker and it's red. I don't know if it tastes the same because that was a big thing, right? So you should now be getting to them trying to explain you to the SD cards. So tell me when you've got the SD cards up and you try and tell me at a glance how they're different. They've got EX on them and they look exactly the same. They even show 2 different manufacturers.
Yeah, they have EX. I can see it now. That is the only difference I can see.
So that just means quicker. So now, Pengi, you'll get them talking about transferring data. It is not new information. You know how a system transfer works, don't you?
Yes.
Then we get the Pro Controller. So it doesn't tell you as much information as I have, Pengi. So I'm going to give you my information about the Pro Controller. So the Pro Controller 2 is, I believe it's $79.99 as well.
That's not too bad for a controller.
No, I mean the controllers are great.
Oh,
right?
I don't know.
It's expensive, but I mean I'm still using my Pro Controller now. But you will need one. I think that's the difference with, like, say, like the PS5. Right, the PS5 comes with a DualSense, and you will use the DualSense because the DualSense is great. It's $74.99, so it's the same price as something else we're going to talk about later. And it's not the only controller you can buy at launch. So the features of the Pro Controller, Pengi, it has Rumble 2.
Right.
It has motion controls. It has built-in Amiibo functionality. It has capture button. It has C button for game chat. It has mappable GL and GR buttons on the back.
Okay, so they're kind of like a Elite controller or Edge.
Yeah, exactly.
But built in from standard, yeah.
And it has something that I don't believe a Switch controller has ever had, and it has a built-in audio jack for headphone and microphone chat, because obviously now you can actually game chat. Right. Trying to think if there's any more. They believe it's got 40 hours battery life. As someone that's used the Pro Controller 1, I think we can both believe it, right?
Yeah.
It also has Bluetooth. I don't know if it's an open Bluetooth and we can use it on other things, but it does have Bluetooth connection. And so they can charge with it. Comes with a cable. It's the same cable. Now, do they talk about any more accessories? They don't, do they? Then they go into the Switch.
Are the old Pro controllers usable?
It does not say. And that's one of the questions I'm sure will be asked. It does say that this stuff cannot be used with the Switch 1. So on the website, the stuff they don't show you, Pengi, you can buy more Joy-Cons, but they are only the standard color. You can buy a charging grip, which they did last time. It's the grip that it comes with, but you can charge it. You can buy Joy-Con wheels, which are the plastic wheels like Mario Kart. Obviously. You can buy a second dock, you can buy a camera, you can buy a screen protector and carry case, and you can build the Switch 2 all-in-one carrying case, which you can carry the console, the dock, Joy-Cons, cables, and up to 6 game cards, and a separate adapter. Now, the adapter that they show in this picture is not a all-in-one adapter. It is a plug and then a cable. So I believe it's not a hardwired into the plug adapter, if you know what I mean, that you get now with the Switch 1 and, say, the Steam Deck, which is actually pretty cool. So it looks like you can use pretty much your phone charger, and you can use that to charge the console. So they don't tell us anything about this for the rest of the show. So the camera price, Pengi, is $49.99.
Right. Okay.
And what else? Because I don't want to spoil something for you later. And the controller's $75, and that is all they have priced for right now. So, boys,
and is it only in that one color, the black and the white?
In that black color with the white top at the moment.
Right. Okay.
And there is no other. We were completely wrong. There's no other colors for anything else. So that is
right. Okay.
There's the black standard stuff with the light blue, light orange accent on like tassels, right? So, Craigo, Pro Controller, you happy with what that is?
I wouldn't say it because I did like the old Pro Controller, and I am kind of like, well, other than the buttons on the back, it doesn't sound that different. Because even like the triggers are still like the old triggers and stuff like that, by the looks of it, right? They're not.
Yeah, it does look basically the same.
Yeah. And for it, you know, it's another big expense. That is always the thing. It's another big expense, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did
Suddenly,
think it
we
was
get to
going
the
to
price
be
later, but you
Xbox
start.
One to Series type controller upgrade,
Yeah, absolutely.
which it looks like it
Yeah,
is.
I don't even know if it's that. Like we'll get to the price later, but when you start adding it all up, it suddenly starts. You get very spenny. I feel.
Right. So, the next.
And so far, I've only seen one thing I want, and that's Mario Kart.
Yeah. So the next one, I'm just going to talk about it, and then obviously Pengi's going to see these trailers as I talk. But basically, Pengi, they explain the 3 types of games you can play on a Switch 2. A Switch 2 game, a Switch 1 game, and the Switch 2 Edition games. So, what the Switch 2 Edition games are, Pengi, is they're not the same as the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 editions that were basically exactly the same game, but with like bare features, right? What they are is essentially, I hate to use this frame, like director cut Game of the Year edition. So all the ones they showed, showed Mario Party Jamboree, which now has a plus Jamboree TV and basically has mini games that use all of the stuff, like use the mouse, use the camera. There's some like iToy stuff you should be seeing when you load it up. Uses the voice stuff, uses like the game chat, and basically you can either buy the game whole, or you put in your Switch 1 cart and you pay for an upgrade pack. And that gives you the plus Jamboree TV and all the extra stuff. So basically, it's kind of like you get like I don't really know of an example I can give. It'd be like buying Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, and then if you could put that Wii U disc into your Switch and just paying for the plus Bowser's pack and the like slight changes they've made. That's basically what it is. So Super Mario.
Do we know how much the upgrade
not.
is yet?
I've got to ask. Click on this. I wonder if the website will tell me. I don't think it will.
I don't think they have. I haven't seen anyone talk about
Learn
that
more
yet.
about upgrade packs.
And there is also features on these that like Kirby's another one. Sorry to jump ahead to
That's all right.
Davey,
I have a whole list once you're done talking. So they've done it on the website now.
Kirby's another one, which they've done for this, and it's like there's like almost like DLC essentially.
Yeah.
For like the new world, but obviously now that's only available in the upgraded version. It's like, that's a bit shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a bit.
That is a bit like Dave saying, like
PlayStation did that with Horizon, like we kind of all went a bit. Oh, that's a bit ick, and I was like, well, that is a bit ick. I don't know.
Are you ready to read off? So I've got all the games that they announced, Pengi, and I've got all of the features in a bullet point thing. You ready?
Okay, because I just watched Mario Jamboree. Oh, look, it's Breath of the Wild.
So, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Upgrade details, improved performance in high resolution, support for the Zelda Notes game-specific service via the Nintendo Switch app, which is basically an app that gives you, like, in-game... It's basically Wii U stuff. It's weird.
Right.
And HDR support. So both of that and Tears of the Kingdom, that's all they have. Performance at high resolution and HDR support. And I will say the trailers do look quite nice. They do look a lot better than the Switch, Grego, graphically.
Yeah, you'd hope so, though, wouldn't you?
So Breath of the Wild now going to be it's going to be like the Twilight Princess of again. It's going to be on Wii U, Switch, and Switch 2.
Literally, and all 3 editions are different as well, right? So it's the Last of Us of Nintendo, I think.
I wonder as well. Sorry, I'm
right.
completely derailing you here, Dave. I apologise for this. It's just come into my head. So like I'm looking on Amazon now. Breath of the Wild for the Switch is £45 at the moment. Yeah. Because you can buy the Switch 2 edition of this, right? Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition. You got to buy that.
You can buy it separately in a red case with a red cartridge. Yeah.
Yes. I wonder if that's gonna be £70.
That's absolutely going to be £70. I think.
Oh, that's savage!
There's no way. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about later on how wrong I was on the podcast last time. But like, there's no way now, right? So I and for the record, I think these upgrade packs are going to be £25 minimum each.
Which seems
Oh my
ridiculous when
goodness.
Days Gone is a tenner.
Yeah, they'll be £25. So, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch Edition plus Jamboree TV, the official name, comes with a new way to play exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 Jamboree TV, new modes that use the mouse, controls, microphone, and a compatible USB-C camera. Players will appear in the game via camera play using the camera. Pardon me. Game share compatible for local multiplayer, and WQHD, which is wide quality HD,
14,
which is 14,
yeah, it's 1440p.
Or Full HD in tabletop mode and handheld. And Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 Edition plus Starcross World, a new story, which is called Starcross World, improved graphics and frame rate. Pokemon Legends ZA Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, improved performance with higher frame rate resolution.
You can play 120 frames on the tally.
You can. It's just not 4K.
No, it's 1080p, 120 frames.
Yeah.
That's same as like PlayStation and Xbox. That's no different.
Yeah.
That's because I'm on Metroid. Yeah.
Yes, which I will get to now. Support for mouse controls, Pengi, which I think you should see now. So you can move with one stick in mouse control if you want to be a weird PC player.
I can't even do mouse at the moment.
There you go. Support for up to 4K while in TV mode, HDR support, and frame rate support for 120. And I will say, boys, Pokemon Legends and Metro Prime 4 look significantly better.
Yeah, Legends looks like an actual running video game now.
I've got the trailers in 4K now, and it is wild seeing. I mean, Breath of the Wild looks amazing. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom look absolutely amazing in these graphic settings. To be fair,
the lighting when it was coming through the trees, and I'm guessing that was Breath of the Wild, did look really good.
Yeah, they look like completely different games. And I thought Metro Prime 4 looked particularly good anyway on the Switch one, but and Pokemon Legends now looks like a video game. I don't. I may end up being that person if I don't end up buying one straight away. But like Pokemon Legends is like you don't want to be the pauper playing the Switch 1 version. Like it looks a completely different game on Switch 2, completely different, and that's great for my fantasy critic scoring. I feel. So, Pengi, thoughts on the Switch 2 Edition games?
It's a weird one because I think they are going to be pretty expensive, but Pokemon does look way better. Breath of the Wild looks better. Breath of the Wild always looked good anyway. That was never like my issue of the game. Kirby looked bang, but like they're gonna be expensive, aren't they? And like I sold all my Switch like stuff because I wasn't playing it. And like Kirby, I played, finished, traded it in like I do. If like that's 70 quid again, that or whatever, that's gonna be. I don't know if there's any I would go back to of them. But Metroid and Pokemon, like I haven't played them. They're going to be new games anyway. I want them. That's why I own a PS5 Pro. I want the new shiny. I didn't go back to Stellar Blade. I didn't go back to Rebirth that everyone says is great. I'm going to Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai. So I'm looking at it as Metroid Prime and so Pokemon there for me from that.
Craigo?
Yeah, like I said, I don't like the fact like locking the content, especially if it's like not really necessary. Like that's a bit weird to me. And yeah, I do wonder about the price of this.
Yeah, and again,
I really do wonder.
When we get to the end and we give our thoughts, I think it's really the big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
But we follow that up with a very, very interesting game, which I would describe to Pengi as the ARMS of the Switch 2. And this is a mouse-only Rocket League-esque wheelchair basketball game called Drag X Drive. So you play the game with the two mouse, and you use that to move forward as you would on a wheelchair, and then obviously you pick them up and you flick the shots in. It's a 3-on-3 multiplayer game. It actually looks pretty fun as in terms of gameplay, but in terms of like core design, it's very uninteresting looking. Like there isn't a whole lot of Nintendo flair to this. I think it's a really cool concept, personally, and I think it's a good way of trying the controls. Again, this is a paid game, I believe. I don't think they said it wasn't, so I'm gonna pull up the thing, but I'm assuming it is. Craigo, what did you think?
Definitely gonna be a paid. Definitely paid.
I
actually thought it looked kind of cool. One thing I took from it was like, oh, can I not just play it with the controller? That's my one
Which is also,
It was like, oh, it looks kind of cool.
if you played ARMS, there's actually way more on the website than they show. It's like you turn by like, you have to like actually move them to like be directional. So like you need to like slide one down further for it to turn, which is quite interesting. It does also say summer 25. It doesn't say launch title.
No, it's not
Right.
launched. They said that. And I also like. So do I need to have a surf? I need to have a surface to use
Yep.
these mice, don't I? So
Yeah.
how?
Yeah.
So I'm turning. I'm swiveling in my chair to face my TV right now, boys.
Yeah.
I'm in the classic gaming position, knees kind of spread. My
Mhm.
forearms are resting on my like thighs. Yeah, the controller's in my hand. Right.
Yeah.
What am I using to put these mice on to play this game? My
Right.
thighs?
Well, they've gambled that everyone plays in a desk, haven't they?
Yeah.
And again,
I,
I'd love
I'm
to know
like I'm
from
looking
Luke
around
what
trying to
the
think
small
of like
Japanese
what am I
bombs are
getting?
like, but
Oh,
yeah.
I've got a bit of cardboard here. Can I like? That's why I was like, this looks kind of cool if it was I could play it on a
Yeah.
controller and it was like cheap or something. But yeah, I don't know.
Pengi?
It looks very free to play, very grey and bland and stuff like that. It just looks like Rocket League, but with wheelchair basketball instead. Yeah, I don't think this looks good.
No, I would agree.
Free to play now, right?
Right. So
Fun?
I'm gonna
And Rocket League, I imagine, will be on the Switch too as well.
well, it's on the
So
Switch
surely you just
One, so
download Rocket League.
you would
Yeah,
think so, right? So
you just do that
I've got to do
instead.
this in a very untraditional way, Pengi. So I am going to blast through a load of third-party games now, and then you'll catch up as I'm talking. So
Okay.
first of all, we see Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. Only interests you, Pengi.
Woo!
Would you play it again?
If I was going to play it again, I would play it on PC now.
Okay. Me
Yeah.
and Craig got interested, so that's fine. Hades 2. Again, we'd play it elsewhere when we Craig. Street Fighter 6 something edition. Comes with 3 amiibos, which are 3 characters I've never heard of, and then 22 amiibo cards for the rest.
Right. I'm skipping forward because I'm still on Tarnished Edition. Right. So there's Hades.
Yeah.
Have we got a date for Hades 2?
I don't know if it said launch or not. It didn't really show up, if I'm honest.
Because obviously it's still in early access at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it might just be by the end of the year.
Okay.
Street Fighter 6 looks cool. Looks like Street Fighter 6. They like Street Fighter on these consoles at launch. I feel like the last 3 consoles have launched with Street Fighter. Has a like Joy-Con waggle mode. It comes with the years 1 and 2 content. And has the 3 amiibo, which are Luke, Jamie, and Kimberly, and then there's 22 cards for the rest. And it's a Switch 2 launch title.
Okay. Right, so far I'm interested in Mario Kart and 3 amiibo.
Right. The next game, Pengi,
We're not... Yeah.
The next game, we joked about it in the chat. I think me and Bala joked about it. It is in fact Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. So they have in fact brought back Daemon X Machina, which was a game they showed heavily at the Switch One's inception, and then no one played. This looks like better.
I didn't play it.
I will say, but yeah, Craigo, any thoughts on Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion?
No, it looked like a mech game, but I didn't really know what it was. Is this like a multiplayer? Is it like what am I doing here?
I think it was story driven. The demo, because I played a demo of. I think it was co-op as well. Actually, the first one. But it was a very bland looking game. This looks like it looks a lot more like Xenoblade, to be honest with you. And that's what I thought it was to begin with. But yeah, it's wild that this has returned. This was like literally like shown very early on the Switch One, the original game, and did nothing. And this is coming out in September. Be excited, Penguin.
Okay.
The next next 3 are nice and quick. We've got Split Fictions coming to Switch 2 launch day. I know you guys have both played it already together, so.
Cool.
EA Sports announced they're bringing FIFA and Madden, and they didn't show either of the games. They just literally had a voiceover saying we're bringing FIFA and Madden to the console. Cool. Hogwarts Legacy, Pengi. It's coming to the Switch 2. There was no talk of any updates or changes because it's already a Switch 1 game. Looks better. I mean, like I said, it's a Switch 1 game, so there must be a Switch 2 edition thing, but they didn't say. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, as Craigo said. They did show at the end a tease for Bikini Bottom, though, from SpongeBob. That's one of the levels.
Yeah, because there's a new pirate ship level, isn't there, that they're
Yes.
adding, I think. And that was part of that.
you go into Bikini Bottom, which is cool. This game looks really good. Like Craig said, it looks fantastic in this trailer. So if this is what
It does.
kind of graphics we're looking at for the console, yeah, quite impressive actually, especially for handheld. And then we had Hitman, World of Assassination, Signature Edition, which is just all the Hitman games. And then a very brief tease, Pengi, for Project 007. Which they think, did they say it's coming this year, Craig? Or did they literally, I mean, I'm fast forwarding.
I think they just put Project 007 on the screen. I think that's all they did.
Yeah. So I've got 1+5 speed, because it was literally, there was just a logo, right? The next
That's
one,
what it looks like to me.
Right.
I've skipped, what did I skip? Hitman.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Hitman's Hitman, right? But it'd be cool to play that game on handheld. Next, we had Bravely Default Flying Ferry HD Remaster from Square Enix. Really good game. They have got some added content in this. Highly recommend it. Very, 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 very good game. I know Pengi toyed with the idea of these games, but this one is the one that's actually good. Really good story. Really good gameplay. Don't know why it's not on the Switch 1, because graphically it should be more than capable of coming on the Switch 1. But
well, you had Bravely Default 2 on Switch 1, didn't you? So.
But yeah, there's lots of mini games for like the new shenanigans.
It doesn't look that like super impressive. So yeah, I don't know why.
And that is a launch game.
Okay.
Next, we had up a big one for me and Craigo here: Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, which has as Yakuza 0. It looks like it's actually had a remaster, so graphically it's a lot better than Yakuza 0 on like PS4 and Xbox One, and it has additional content, and it will be a launch title. Obviously, we had Kiwami last year, which did huge numbers on the Switch 1, so not a surprise at all that it's coming to Switch 2. Any thoughts on Yakuza, boys?
I guess that
no,
will come to everything as well. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, for everything, or I thought they said it was exclusive.
I don't know.
I don't know either. There's no dub though, is there? So again, that kind of the reason I've not played that one because people really like that one.
Yeah.
It's not people's that's like
really
one of their
good.
favourites. So.
Yeah. Next we had up, which was a partner collaboration game, Pengi, and it is Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment, which is a Hyrule Warriors game set before the start of Tears of the Kingdom. Looks like a Warriors game. It looks cool. Graphically looks really nice, and obviously they showed a lot of stuff on screen, but like watching this trailer in the 4K looks ridiculous. Would you play? This one that you'd come back into, Pengi?
Well, I've already at the moment I've just got Zelda yapping, so I haven't actually seen any gameplay at the moment.
Well, spoilers.
It's
a Hyrule Warriors game.
Yeah.
Wasn't the last one a prequel to Breath of the Wild? I guess this is
it sort of was. it's a sort of people.
Yeah, just technically in the timeline would be before even that, because obviously this is thousands of years ago.
It's the War of Imprisonment, right?
Yeah, so it would go this, then Age, then Breath, then Tears.
And that,
I think.
And that is a winter game. That is not a launch game. It is a winter game.
Okay.
But what is launch, Pengi, which I know you're very excited about, is a new perk to the Switch Online expansion pack exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo GameCube Classic games. So, Pengi, is your little penis ready for me to talk through the games that we're getting at launch?
So do I have to pay any extra, or was it just part of my expansion?
With the expansion pass. So
okay.
you'll get Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker. You'll get Soul Calibur 2, and don't forget, all of the multiplayer games have online. So you'll get Soul Calibur 2. You get F-Zero GX, Craigo, which is the best F-Zero game by a long way, because it was made by the Sega Yakuza team. That has 4-player online multiplayer and a really good arcade mode. What's next on the launch games? I think that is the 3 launch games they mentioned. But they did also show a list of games that will be coming, Pengi, that included Mario Smash Football, Pokemon XD Gate of Darkness, Pokemon Colosseum, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and Kirby's Air Ride. You can also buy a Nintendo GameCube controller, which is available on launch day, and it's one of the perks with the you know how like Jay can like pre-order.
Yeah.
You can that's
Yeah.
also included. That if you get that, you also get access to this wireless Nintendo GameCube controller that has all the extra buttons on the top, including 2 triggers and the chat button, and I believe a headphone jack, and that is $58.99. Very cool. The controller is something that I would definitely want.
Yeah.
But yes, Pengi, GameCube games. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially with the online. I totally forgot, like, oh yeah, they'll have online multiplayer. I know it's the split screen thing. I'm seeing the SR now, but yeah, I really forgot about the multiplayer. Like Soul Calibur 2, that's going to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
And that.
Craig?
Yeah, I mean, it's something people have wanted, isn't it, for a long time. That's very cool. I think they did also say that like they will be like kind of just naturally enhanced, right, because of the better resolution.
Yeah, so you'll
as
have
well.
like your I think they'll have save states and all that kind of stuff, right, as well, which they usually have and all that jazz, and obviously being able to play.
So like yeah, with the saves. Oh, see, they haven't got rewind. I don't think on game. Have they got rewind?
It doesn't say.
On NSO. I've not really used NSO enough to think because I was just thinking like Fire Emblem, like I've messed up a turn, just rewind.
I mean Fire Emblem and both the Pokemon games are what £400.
Yeah, they're stupidly expensive. So.
And you think if we get something like Twin Snakes, like there's a lot I'd want to play. But this is probably the second biggest thing for me on so far.
Yeah. Especially if they can get more third parties as well. Like you got Soul Calibur 2, but if they could get like most of the Tomb Raider games of that era well, the only thing is they've remastered them now, haven't they?
Yeah, but I don't think it's stopped them before. If you think about the games that they
but I'm just thinking on like PlayStation Plus is like, oh, it hasn't got like Tomb Raider on that because of the thing. But you know, like PS2 era third party games and stuff like that, you can see like turning up on this. So which would be pretty neat because I played a lot of like Soul Calibur, Tomb Raider, NHL, and stuff like that. Need for Speed on the GameCube. So
yeah, I think anything without a license. So like it's always the problem with racing games is that the car licenses and the music licenses.
Yeah.
But if you think of like, I would expect all of the third party collabs. So I would expect Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Adventures, Smash. Like I think all that kind of stuff will be on there eventually. Mario Kart Double Dash. Like I think a greatest hits of GameCube games is wild.
Twilight Princess in the
it wasn't in
lineup
this,
there,
but it is obviously a GameCube game, so
yeah,
they can save that for later, right? But and obviously the one I would like Four Sword Adventures and stuff like that. But it's one of those where like it's $49.
Oh, we could you can actually play that now though pretty easily because you could just do the online.
Yeah, right. So like I think it's one of those things. It's that type of thing. Give you the option. And like I'd love the Pokemon games to connect to Pokemon Box or Pokemon Home or whatever. That'd be sick. But yeah. Still $49.99 as far as I know. They haven't put it up yet. And that's cool. So next we got some more third-party games. They showed Deltarune, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is a launch title. I don't think any of us really care that much about Deltarune, do we?
Not really. I think we all were in the opinion that Undertale's okay sort of thing.
Yeah.
It was overhyped, wasn't it?
I don't even think Craig was that
Nice.
good.
No.
Then we've got Borderlands 4. Randy Pitchford comes out. No one cares. Updates for 2K, which is really weird because I thought they were building up to announce GTA, the way they did this, but they didn't. Civ 7 is coming and is a Switch 2 enhanced game. You can use the mouse, Pengi, for Civ 7, which is cool. And they're bringing WWE and NBA. Then they showed a game called Survival Kids. For some reason, it looked terrible. Craig, it looked like a mobile game.
Yeah, it did.
Whatever. Enter the Gungeon 2. Cool. Starseeker and Astroneer Expedition, and then the next big game, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, Craigo, is coming to Switch 2 and looks a lot better than I think it has any right to. Craigo?
Yeah, I'm guessing you get the DLC and all that with us, right?
They showed Idris Elba, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. They already have said The Witcher already on there when it was on Switch 1, so it's cool to get Cyberpunk. And the next game they showed, Pengi, is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Looks good. except the PS5 version. Obviously, they didn't show Rebirth or say anything about Rebirth.
Yeah.
But again, we've played those games. But I think for the Nintendo only people among us, that's not too bad. So I've got 2 times speed. So they then showed their more games are on the way. They showed Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. They showed Hollow Knight Silk Song, still with a 2025 date.
That's hilarious that they just put that in a little sizzle reel for about half a second, and it's just like 2025. You're like, where have they even got that from?
Right. They showed Story of Seasons, which is the first Switch 2 edition third-party game. They showed Two Point Museum, which is a great game. They showed Wild Hearts S, Pengi from Koei Tecmo.
Right.
Coming
Okay.
in July. I assume that is a edition of Wild Hearts that we didn't know about. We saw Witchbrook. We saw Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, which is a launch game, another Switch 2 edition. We saw Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, which is another Switch 2 edition available at launch, which is a game obviously I've got on Fantasy, so this will help. Marvel's Cosmic Invasion. Star Wars Outlaws 2025. Switch 2 exclusive, not on Switch 1. And
Good Night Universe is 2025. Oh, okay, cool.
Right. They showed Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition, which is a launch game. Fast Fusion Pengi, which is the third in the fast racing series that we all like. But as I said in the chat, ruined by the fact that F-Zero GX will be available on day 1 on the console. So rip to Fast Fusion, but we did like that in the forum. Shadow Labyrinth, the Pac-Man game, it's got a Switch 2 edition. Radu Master they showed last week. AI Summonal. Reanimal, is that the Little Nightmares team?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like it. Fortnite, so we can get our battle passes. Launch date, and the weirdest, and I think this is the one they ended on, was Arcade Archives 2, Pengi. So this is the new Arcade Archives, is the 2 range, and that is Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer, which is a launch game. They showed Professor Layton and the New World of Steam, which comes in 2025, which we haven't seen a lot of, which is cool. Tamagotchi Plaza, which has a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Human Fall Flat 2, which is just coming soon, and looks like Human Fall Flat 1. And that was the scissor reel. So any thoughts on that while I get my breath back, boys?
I'm Ridge Racer now. Oh, that looks old, doesn't it now?
PS1 game. PS1 launch title, I think.
I'd be happy that Ridge Racer was in some way part of this show.
It is a sort of how you would sort of christen a games console is by having Ridge Racer on it. But any thoughts, boys?
I'm gonna just play all them on my Steam. I was gonna say Steam Deck, my ROG Ally or my PlayStation.
Yeah, Grego.
Yeah, I mean it's one of them where they're not really for us, is it? You say it's for the people who only have Nintendo. So yeah, for the likes of us who have played all these games, years ago,
Yeah, I guess the only thing would be I've obviously only just got a ROG Ally. If I hadn't, I'm like, I want to play Silk Song. I want to play it on a handheld. I'll get it on my Switch too, sort of thing, because it's kind of a handheldy game, like I did during the year of the Switch, that sort of thing. But yeah, most of that, what was, I don't know, the Raid On game. If I was going to play that, I was just going to play that on PlayStation.
Yeah. And no Monster Hunter, which I think was, for me, when I saw Wild Hearts, I was like, are we going to get Monster Hunter? Nope. So, interesting. But the next game is very interesting to Pengi. You probably need to watch this trailer, Pengi. But this is a 5-minute trailer, so I'm just going to tell you what it is. It's The Dusk Bloods, which is an exclusive, brand new From Software game coming.
Okay, I think that's what I'm now on.
That should be what's next. Me and one of the boys were like, Bloodborne, because it's Bloodborne in everything bar name, I think. And I think it does have multiplayer as well. I will look. But yeah, Craig.
It looked like there was some sort of co-op. It looked like there was 2 characters on screen when I saw it. Yeah. I'd say there's some multiplayer shenanigans going on there. So my reaction was they led up to it with there's a character's in a chair and his hand was dangling, and another character was grabbing his hand, and there's a voiceover going on, and I was like, oh, what's this then? And I was watching that, and then From Software come up on the screen, and I lost all interest.
Yeah.
There was some. I'm guessing there's some vampires, and it's just always like that. That was my takeaway from it. but then that's very much me not being into Souls like. So yeah, it's a big one for a lot of people, I know, but yeah.
Yeah, and you are. It looks like
At the
you are
moment,
happy.
I'm only on what Craig was saying, and there's the logo.
Yeah. It does say 2026 as well, so that'd be
This does look very
big
blood.
one for next
It
year.
does look very Bloodborne at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of
It's
Bloodborne Elden Ring type thing.
steampunk blood. Yeah,
And there's a guy that turns into a
with the
dinosaur
train.
rider, and there's lots of chaos. There's lots of characters you can appear to play as or against. So I think it has got different elements, but again, not for me in any way, and not for Craig in any way. But an exclusive FromSoft game in general, Pengi, is that something that would excite you to get a console?
Possibly. This is like, apart from Mario Kart and GameCube games, this is like the first thing that I'm bothered about. Oh, there's a guy with a jetpack. Okay.
Yeah, they're also doing a thing with the creator, with Miyazaki, called The Creator's Voice, which is like a little show. I think it's in the Treehouse, so they'll talk to more about it.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but I'll let you enjoy that trailer. So the next trailer we got, Craigo, was a 1 minute 30 trailer for a brand new Switch game from Masahiro Sakurai. It's a follow-up to one of the most forgotten games on the GameCube. It is Kirby Air Riders, Pengi.
Okay.
Kirby Air Riders. I believe 2026 was thrown up afterwards. Craig, do you have any idea what Kirby's Air Ride was?
Got Scooby-Doo. And this trailer didn't really show us what this is, Evo. It's a very strange trailer, because it wasn't like it was only like 10 seconds. It did go on for a bit. At first I thought, is this more Mario Kart? Is that what they're showing?
So kinda. It's like a party racing game. It was on the GameCube. It's fun, like as they all are, but it's a 2025 game, not a 2024 game. But that is the Masahiro Sakurai game. Pengi, how would you feel about the thought of it? You're not missing much of the trailer because it's just literally like a visual kind of thing.
Okay, I'm skipping the yapping of the Dust Blood thing. You say Dust Blood's 2026?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, because obviously I just skipped all that bit to look at Kirby.
Yeah.
But
No,
what I
I'm
saw of Dust Blood...
Go on, Peggy.
Dust Blood does look cool. I saw the bit with the guy who transforms into a dinosaur, and it looks like you got lots of different characters that you can like summon. So I don't know if they're like a bit of Night Rain in there, but just two players, and you're playing as like I'm playing as the guy with the jetpack. I'm playing the guy that can turn into a dinosaur. Let's go fight some stuff, sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching some gameplay footage of the original Kirby Air Ride, Dave, to get a sense of what this is. Why on earth are they putting this out the same year as Mario Kart World? What are they thinking? And why, when they get like, I mean, we'll allude to this in a second, but I imagine a lot of people are going to be buying the bundle with Mario Kart World, the way it's priced. So,
yeah.
Why would they then go out and buy this as well? What are they thinking there?
I think Sakurai can do what he wants, so I guess if he wants to make a new Kirby Air Riders, and he loves Kirby, doesn't he? So, yeah. But yeah, you could put that out in 2026, couldn't you? So,
yeah, very, very curious. So we've only got one more game to announce, and it's the game that fucks Craig beyond belief. So we're gonna talk about it now. The trailer opens up, Pengi. You're thinking Mario Odyssey 2.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But it is in fact not Mario Odyssey 2. It is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Which is an open world Donkey Kong game. Looks absolutely amazing, graphically gorgeous. It's the new design of Donkey Kong. Big open world Donkey Kong game where you can destroy lots of stuff, and it looks cool. And this is coming out in July. Craigo, what do you think about Donkey Kong?
Is this a launch game?
Nope.
Oh.
It's coming out a month after 43 days.
Oh,
after
sorry, yeah. Sorry, yeah, it's June launch. Okay, it's not too far out. It's essentially a launch game. It's there or thereabouts.
It's launch window. Once you're starting to get bored of Mario Kart, this will be out.
Yeah, no, okay, that's pretty cool. It looked brilliant. Looked absolutely fantastic. The levels, the destructibility, and all of that. And I actually think this is sin, well, probably what I'm saying to Nintendo people know. But I always thought this is more interesting than, and this is me saying this to someone who is fucked me over in fantasy. I always think this is more interesting than just a new 3D Mario.
I agree.
Because it's actually like something different and cool, and when was the last like 3D Donkey Kong game, boys?
Ooh, the N64.
N64.
Yeah, here you go, exactly right. So like to me as a Nintendo outsider, this is I know this is terrible because everyone was like we want 3D Mario, but to me this almost like that almost looks like cooler, more interesting than just Super Mario Odyssey 2, personally.
Yeah. When we were on the podcast before, and we were talking about it, and it was like, oh, 3D Mario. I was like, there's no way they're going to do 3D Mario and like an open world Mario Kart. Like it's way too similar. So, and obviously they've got a Donkey Kong movie. They've just like it makes sense. But I think it looks really cool. Pengi, what do you think?
Yeah, it does look actually really good, and I think the whole like destructible environments and that, which I guess you wouldn't really do with Mario, but you can with Donkey Kong. Yeah, actually does look. Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah, and the key art they use also, they also have them on the Switch 2 website that has like the key art they use for this looks fantastic, like such high quality. Shows off the new baddies and what stuff does, and it's really cool. And that's coming out the 17th of July, and that was it. The only thing they announced after that, Pengi, was the release date of June 5th.
Right, okay.
And they're doing a bundle that comes with a digital copy of Mario Kart. They did not give the price in the video, so let's just add the prices in, then we'll talk about what our thoughts are overall. So, to buy the game's console on its own, so let me get the website up because I'll tell you exactly what's in the package, Pengi, because I've got the bundles right in front of me. So, if you purchase the if you purchase the Nintendo Switch 2 by itself, it comes out the 5th of June. It comes with the console, Joy-Con straps, the dock, Joy-Con grip, AC adapter, HDMI cable, and a Nintendo Switch 2 important information leaflet. I'm glad they stuck that in. And that is 395 of your British pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you pay an extra, and you pay £429, you will get a download code for Mario Kart World. This is a limited time production.
So is that 25 quid more?
I think it's 35, something like that, about half price. So
Yeah.
this is a limited time production through April 25 while supplies last. So this will be the initial bundle, and they'll bundle it with something else in the autumn. Probably Metroid, more than likely Pokemon. So
I was going to say, did they actually date Metroid?
No,
No.
they didn't. I think they might next week, or like in the next couple of months, kind of thing.
Maybe I don't know, during a treehouse. They sometimes give us info. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. So initial thoughts on the price, Craigo.
So the initial thoughts on the price of the console are actually good.
Sorry, Craigo. This information I forgot to tell you. So to buy the game separately, Pengi, if you want to purchase Mario Kart World digitally and not get it as part of a code, it will cost you £66. If you want to buy that game,
that would make it £3.95, 66. That would make it £4.60.
Yeah, about £4.60.
So it's 30 quid saving if you get the bundle.
Yeah,
which is quite a bit of a saving.
It is,
especially from Nintendo.
It is, and I think again, like it's a bit of a trap because you want that bundle, right? Because you need a game at launch, and there isn't many games at launch. However,
saying the games aren't cheap because
No.
it's physically is even more expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, so physically it's £75, which is even more than you predicted. That's how bad that is.
Which is unbelievable. Like Indiana Jones, a AAA game is $69.99 coming to PlayStation, like physical. That's £5 less, and that was like one of the best games we played in last year in the end. Or you can play it in Game Pass, a subscription that's like £15. This seems ridiculous. 75 quid for Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the game will be outstanding, but
yeah, I'm not gonna I don't even own an Xbox anymore, and like not really care. But like when the people that go Xbox best value in gaming, that seems ridiculous now when this is 75 quid.
Yeah, and again, like obviously the fact that it's like just under a tenner cheaper to get it digitally, like they're starting that trend, where it's cheaper for
Which
them.
I do like. I do like that.
Yeah, I do as well. And
I do.
And I do wonder
Yeah.
whether all these worldwide US tariffs are affecting the physical prices of the
I don't
particular
know.
of
Would
the
it
games.
affect us though?
I don't know, because obviously we're lumped in with Europe, aren't we? So I don't know.
I feel like the digital thing would have been like even better if you know if Mario Kart World was physical £60, like kind of Dave was predicting, and then the digital was, let's say, 50 or even like 45, and you'd be like, oh, that is, really good for a digital.
Hmm.
But the fact they then jacked up the physical to make the digital price drop
Seem
seem
cheap.
more worth it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh god, it's so much. This is so much, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, for me personally, if and when I buy a Switch 2, I will get Mario Kart digitally, because it's going to be a game I play for the life of the console. But yeah,
You've got to get that bundle.
You
Like
have to get
buying the Switch on its own
Mm.
is mental.
yeah.
Also,
The
what other game
395 is easy. Why would you do that?
Yeah, and also, like, what other game would you be buying at launch? Tetris 2?
Well, I
whatever
think,
it was?
I think you'll be playing
You got
Switch 1
Donkey
games.
Kong a month later, don't you?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think you'll be playing Switch 1 games. I think that's the only justification. You playing Breath of the Wild again, right?
Yeah, but then we don't know how much that's going to be with the
No, we don't.
enhancement.
Just to confuse this even more so let's talk about the Donkey Kong price. Donkey Kong Bonanza is $66.99 physically and $58.99 digitally.
That's two really weird prices.
Very strange
why is
prices.
it $58.99? And also,
$58.99.
why is it cheaper than Mario Kart thing? Like, why is that lesser than Mario Kart?
Not a clue.
Yeah, surely Mario Kart could have been the same price. Like $68.99 is still a lot of money. Like surely Mario Kart could have been that.
Yeah. Because like they get like on like the Switch, like Tears of the Kingdom was more, and like, okay, I get what you're doing, Nintendo, like the value here and stuff, and like, oh, WarioWare's cheaper because it's a smaller game. But I don't really get how Donkey Kong and Mario Kart aren't the same price.
And it's
one.
and like obviously because Mario Kart's the bundle game as well, and like you boys have been saying, and it's almost like, well, Mario Kart's the game that they know is going to sell 50 million copies, right?
Yeah.
Like in a greedy way, like they know if you're going to buy a game digitally, it's going to be Mario Kart World. Whereas you might buy the Donkey Kong, you buy it and you're done with it, right? Because it's a single player game. So it's it's scummy either way. I think it's like Craig said, the console price is deceiving because they can come out and say, oh, the console's only $395, but in reality it's not. The console is $429 because you're not buying it without Mario Kart, not at launch anyway.
Yeah.
At Christmas.
Yeah, it just feel like Nintendo don't really take a loss on consoles, but it feels like, especially the tech thing, they're taking a loss on this console, but they are making that money back on software.
Yeah, and accessories as well. Like not to,
I've got the Critic calculator up here. It's making a return. I haven't put out in a long time. So I've got the console, right? I'm going to get the bundle because I'm a sensible human being. So I spent $430, right?
I also want a Pro
How much was that controller? Yeah.
75.
Yeah. How much is a year for the NSO? Because I obviously need that. If I want to play, I want to talk to Dave.
Top one.
I want to play Mario.
Be 50,
I want to talk to Dave.
£50 because you're going to want to get the one with the GameCube game.
The GameCube, yeah.
Yeah. And then I want more than one game. So like a month after, I'm going to buy Donkey Kong. Let's say.
You're right. Physically.
How
or
much
digitally?
is Donkey Kong?
Physically, 67.
That's £622. I only have 2 games.
Yeah. You got 2 games, and
and they're a month apart, Craig. So you most probably I don't know. You've bought a download title at least. Let's say add another 20 quid on there for buying Hades 2 or something.
Right, you'll be forced to play all of the old games, won't you? But that's basically what you'll be forced. At gunpoint, you'll be like, well, I've better play Mario Kart 64 for 6 hours, even though you've just played 120 hours of Mario Kart World, and then I might as well play Zelda, right? Everyone says Zelda's good, so I'll play Zelda. That's what's 20 hours.
I was thinking before all these prices come out, because I've been, I know I Mr. Anti Nintendo, yeah, right. But I've been open minded. I could get a Switch too. It could be fun, right? And,
Especially a brand
for
new
me,
Mario Kart, like I would definitely jump into a
yeah.
brand new Mario Kart more so than I would the deluxe playing
And
that.
for me, even if there's not a huge amount of launch games, I have the PlayStation thing where I haven't played any of the back catalogs. Well, very little of the back catalog stuff, right? So I could play like Breath of the Wild finally. But then, even then, it's like, let's add Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition. We're going to assume that's going to be 70 quid, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's £692 now for 3 games in the console. It's £700.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is
God.
the Steam Deck, Dave?
Oh, you can get a Steam Deck for £350. You don't pay for any online, and all the games go on sale for about £2.
Yeah, you can buy a Steam Deck for 350 quid. Right, how much is the Series S? You buy a Steam Deck and a Series S for the same money?
You get like 3 years worth of Game Pass.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things as well, like the most wild thing, and again, like I am the biggest Nintendo fan here, right? So it's kind of like I don't want to shit on it quite as much, but like we'll talk about if we're going to buy them in a minute. But like, if this is this expensive, how expensive is that PS6 going to be? And how expensive are those PS6 games going to be?
Yeah, this is the thing. I can now see if Nintendo's gone the prices up there, like we know the price of Death Stranding 2 is $59.99, but could Sony go, well, Nintendo's gone 75 quid for America, we're going to go do the same for Ghost of Yotai.
Yeah.
And then it's like GTA 6, like, wow, it's GTA 6. It's now $89.99 because it's GTA 6.
And it's now on the Switch too, so you can pay even more. Right, so
I think what helps me with the price difference there, though, is the subscription service.
It's so much cheaper,
like, yeah. For me, like I know I miss a subscription service, so I'm but like for me, like even the PlayStation, like I can get a year of the subscription service, and I have access to like loads of games, like and not just like old games from the N64, like actual games that is like coming out, releasing day and date, like stuff that's come out like just like
Blue
like Dragon Age came out a couple of months.
Blueprints, 10th of April.
It's also
Plus.
very subjective on what you like, because I'm the flip of you. I've played every old game on PlayStation. I've played all the ones I want to play. I couldn't give less of a shit about weird, crappy indie games.
Yeah,
and
but
I've got to pay
Dragon Age is a good example here, though, right?
But I've already played that, and that's £80 a year. Because it's again like it's
for me the value
it's purely subjective, because I will this is just because we're different people. Like I'll happily pay £50 a year because Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Pokemon Colosseum are way better games than Tales of Kinzera, Dragon Age Veilguard, and whatever for me, right? Because I just don't like them. But it's
take the games out of it. You can see the point I'm making with like I have access to so many games as opposed to
it's also a lot.
Spend £700 and I can play 3 games. Do you know what I mean? That's the point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah,
as opposed to like whether you like Nintendo games or PlayStation.
I
games,
disagree, but I get what the point you're making. I get the point. I entirely
get.
Like,
well, you get the point of I have access to the games.
Yeah, it's different types of games, but I get your point. But I like
Well, this is what I was saying. Like even Game Pass, like Indiana Jones is on that.
Game Pass is a much better example because that's actually new first-party games.
Yeah,
that's a so much better deal. Yeah, the PS Plus.
It's not even saying that. Like Game Pass Standard doesn't have day one games on that. I would say that's most probably like a better deal.
Because how much is Plus if you're going to get just Extra, which is the tier that Craig is on about?
I don't know what the middle
£11-12 a month.
I pay my off a year, I think.
So you would have got a deal for it for about £100 or something, then, right? Because usually it's like 150, something stupid. But anyway, like it's apples and oranges, right? It depends what you like. Because again, like whatever, no. Give me Game Boy Tetris. But obviously, Craig, you're not going to buy one at launch. That was never going to happen, I don't think, anyway, right? But
well, I don't know. You say that, but I was going into this with that it could happen. Maybe you'd written it off, but I don't know. I was like, yeah, maybe it could happen. And even watching the show, I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. Like the hardware and that seemed really good. But when you really do start breaking it down, doing the maths, it's so fucking expensive, isn't it? God. It really adds up.
And you got to buy an SD card, Craig. You forgot the new SD card as well.
You won't need one.
Well, you
at launch.
don't.
There won't be enough
Yeah,
games.
because you got
No,
250.
surely you
Yeah, I was
won't
going to
need
say, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got 256. Okay, yeah, you don't really need one.
I think
right
the
away.
only essential is a pro controller. That's the one where I'm like, oh, that's probably the tipping point for me, because I've already
Yeah,
got, like,
really?
You need some games as well, Davey.
yeah, but I got 200 Switch One games. So like, if I'm the PS4 to PS5 equivalent
Switch
for.
for that.
Pardon?
You could just keep your Switch plug, couldn't you?
That's
Yeah.
that's the point we're going to get to in a minute, Gregor. But yeah, like right, but like yeah, if you're new to an ecosystem, especially like yeah, like so like if I hadn't had a PS4 and I bought a PS5 now, I'd have nothing, and I'd be like, okay, well I need to buy the subscription, so that's £150. And yeah, right. But again, different people, different sit shows. Now, someone who doesn't mind spending a lot of money is Mr. Chris Pengelly. So where are you at with this, Pengi?
This at the moment is no. I've watched this thing. There is literally 3 games I'm interested in: Mario Kart, Dust Bloods, which is 2026, and Donkey Kong. GameCube games are great. That is a cool perk, and obviously a subscription. But it's a new system for new games. In the words of Greg Miller, old games are old. Sort of thing, and yeah, they are pretty spenny as well. Like I would want the bundle, Mario Kart bundle for $430. I'd want a Pro controller at least. I would most probably not buy another game at launch, so I got at least 2 games to play, not just Mario Kart. That's another £50 as well. And obviously, the month later, Donkey Kong for £60-something, which seems crazy at that sort of place. Like. It just seems a lot of money. So at the moment, if you ask me when I'm getting a Switch 2, it's going to be whenever Dust Bloods comes out in 2026. That is
nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am the Mr. Nintendo. Will defend them against accusations of GameCube games not being better than PS4 games. But
I will also think Metroid Prime 2 and Pokemon are Switch 2 games as well, so it's not really free. It's £5 with though. But I could just go buy a cheap Switch Lite for like £100 used and play them on that if I really wanted to.
You could indeed, Pengi.
Yeah,
you could indeed. So what was I saying? So yeah, as the Nintendo person in this chat, like I said, we'll defend them to death. They make the best games, etc., etc. I can't justify that pre-order on day one. It's just too much money, like you boys have been saying. It's the hidden costs, and I think that's what's I think the most frustrating. Is like you look at this page right in front of you, you go $429.99 for a brand new Mario Kart game, and this really, like you guys have been saying, like really good high tech console, and you kind of go, that's not too bad. That isn't too bad. And then, like you said, as soon as you throw in, even for me, who my subscription's paid up for a year anyway, even for me, like I said, you have to buy a Pro controller. That's £75. Like obviously, I have a girlfriend. We play the games together, so that's £75. I own a physical copy of Super Mario Party Jamboree. But let's assume that's another £25. And even the stuff that I'm getting extra, a lot of it I can't play because you need to have the camera, right? So that's 50. So you know what I mean? Like, and even for me, like again, like I have about 10 physical Switch games still. Really into Nintendo, play all the Nintendo games, and it's just too much too soon, which is it's very frustrating for me because I do like a lot of the console. I really like. I think the console looks really impressive. I think the tech's really impressive. I think the future looks really cool for it. But at launch, I think it's a lot of money. And I personally, like, I want to wait until probably around Christmas. I've got 4 or 5 games already on my Switch 1 that I want to finish, like big games. Obviously, I've got loads of like fucking downloaded games because I can't help myself. But like, I've got like Mario and Luigi Brothership. I've got Echoes of Wisdom. Now that we know that's not enhanced so far, right? Like I said, like I'll probably play Xenoblade Chronicles X on it now. It's a £40 game, and that seems like a fucking bargain for Nintendo games now. So I'm kind of like, well, that Donkey Kong Country Returns. I'm like, well, do I want to buy that for 35?
That wasn't one of the Switch 2 games, especially seeing it's got that 60 frame mode in.
Yeah, I'm guessing it will be, and they've just not mentioned it, right? But I do agree with you. Like, it's very strange for a game that's just come out, and we know there's a mode in there. But that will be by the end of the year. yeah, the GameCube stuff's probably if my head was going to get turned, I think that would be it, because like I said, like I'm dying to play F-Zero GX again, because you can't buy that game on a GameCube for a good price at all. Wind Waker, I mean, it's a fun game. That'd be fun. I mean, it should be really fun playing that game in handheld, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, the cynical in me is I could just download it allegedly another way and play it on my Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those where I'm like, it's not enough to justify a console. And I don't think you should ever buy consoles based on subscriptions apart from Xbox, because that's their whole model. But like, I wouldn't buy a PlayStation 5 for PS Plus. I'd buy it for The Last of Us Part 3, and I'd buy it for Intergalactic and whatever. But yeah, it's a bit of a downer. I mean, I've had a very stressful week anyway, and now I'm just like, oh, even Nintendo can't pick me up.
Yeah, there seems like this was their big threat. There seemed to be very little in this.
Very little.
Like Donkey Kong is the big 3D platformer instead of 3D Mario. It's like I thought they would tease more 2026 games, because it goes 2026 is ages away. It's not really for video games. Like, we've seen Intergalactic and stuff like that. We saw Gears of War E-Day and things. So, like, if they show Animal Crossing 2026, it's like, where's the big IP, really, apart from Mario Kart? Like, get people...
I think they were really keen on keeping this trimmed down to like an hour. That's what the impression I got watching it. Because I was expecting a lot more... Not necessarily the first party, but a lot more like third party announcements, like stuff being in big, like, because if you're any third party publisher, so many people are going to be watching the Switch 2 announcement, right? You're going to want to announce your game here, surely. So I was really expecting them to go quite ham on that, but even the third party stuff they showed, it seemed like the trailers were really snappy for it. They weren't your classic Game Awards or PlayStation State of Play trailers where they go for 2.5 minutes and barely show anything. It was right. Joseph Fares is out. Split Fictions is coming. Here's a bit of Split Fiction. Right, that is the next thing. Do you know what I think? Do you know what I mean? That did kind of surprise me, just how snappy they kept it. And like, right, this is an hour, and it felt like they were even to the third parties. Right, you've got 20 seconds to say that your game's coming to Switch 2, for example.
Would you like some breaking news, Craigo?
Yeah.
Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, June 5th. Never before seen cutscenes, new online multiplayer mode, English voiceover, and French, Italian, German, and Spanish text. So it does in fact have English dub. But it doesn't say if it's exclusive or not.
Kiru.
Right. But it does. This is a Switch 2 trailer, there. But yeah, I think I echo what you're all saying. It's a funny one. It's a very funny one. Yeah, it's just funny to me. We got the console price so wrong.
The only thing I just thought, Dave.
Yes, right.
When I go to buy a Switch 2 for Dust, what was it? Dust Bloods? I can't remember the name. What was it? Dust Bloods? The
Dust Bloods.
In 2026, I'm not going to be able to buy the Mario Kart bundle, am I?
No, it will be gone unless you break before then.
So I'm gonna have to hope there's a Dust Bloods bundle, which then would just make Mario Kart cheaper in a weird way, spending the same amount of money, but my download's now Dust Bloods.
Yeah, right. So I suppose for you, do you reckon there's any chance of you breaking before 2026 with Metroid Prime 4? Obviously, anything you've missed on Switch 1, GameCube stuff.
Yeah, so you got Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. I've not played Metroid Prime 4, Zelda. No, Pokemon. Sorry. So that's 3. You have Mario Kart. Donkey Kong, and I forgot Kirby Air Riders, which traders. So there is 6 games, but I don't think any of this, apart from maybe Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, are the system-y seller, get me to move, and I think I go and wait for both of them as well. You got the weird stuff like that tour thing, but yeah, unless that's like a 5 or a 10 or something, that's that's not bothered with that. Yeah. But then, we know 2 months? I'm just thinking, what are they having out in November? But I guess you can work that out, can't you? If June's Mario Kart, July's Donkey Kong.
Hyrule Warriors, right?
Yeah, and then you have Hyrule Warriors
Pokemon
in August, Pokemon in September, Metroid in October, Kirby in November, and then just yeah. So yeah, I guess they've actually done the whole year. Really, is yeah, not that fast at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's really
Oh, I'm gonna be sat here until they do show me forever.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think I still want one this year, but just not in June. Like I think perhaps once we get, like, I've got a few trips going on in the year. Like if I see one, even any time after August, I think if I've got like the money set aside and I'm like, because I've got stuff going on at work and all that jazz. Like if I get to that kind of time of the year and I'm like, oh, you know what, like there's a bundle on Curry's that's under five, like 480 for the Mario Kart bundle plus a controller because they're doing some sort of deal. That's kind of where I'm at, which is a really funny thing. Cause obviously, like, it's a really funny place to be with the games consoles. Like that you want, but then not enough to pre-order is like kind of weird to me because I feel like all of us, if we want, like Craig wants a new Xbox, it's pre-ordering almost whatever. I know you're in the ecosystem, so it's different, but yeah, it's one of those where I'm kind of like, I'll kind of Pengles it a bit and wait for a deal. But I do want it this year because I do like Mario Kart. I will play a lot of these Switch 2 edition games. Even like Kirby, I didn't play a whole. I finished it, I think, because I borrowed it off Craig, but I didn't like really get into it. So if I saw that for a good deal, I imagine the used game market for those Switch 2 games is completely wild. I mean, CX is probably jacking some shit up right now as we speak. You won't be able to get Breath of the Wild for under 60 quid for the next 3 months, I think, at least.
Yeah, most probably, yeah.
But yeah, that kind of concludes it, really. Did you have our predictions, Pengi or Craig, so we can go through those? Or
Craig should have them.
I didn't actually jot any of them down. I think we just offhand cuffed them, didn't we?
Yeah, I think Pengi wins just because of the expense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
Yeah, I can't.
Go on, Pengi.
Yeah, I was going to saying it's really expensive. I think Icarus. I was wrong, but we did have Sakurai with Kirby, yeah, right. So yeah, did I said GameCube games, didn't I think?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So.
Okay. He loves it. But yeah, thank you for watching our Switch 2 sort of show. We'll obviously talk about the Switch 2 throughout the year. We've got, like Pengi said, we've got Treehouse this week, and we've got the Mario Kart Direct later on. So, yeah. But as we stand right now, bit expensive, but whatever. Video games in 2025, right? But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next episode of Save Slot 3.
Bye.